Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Emily Peyton, an independent candidate for governor, and I'm here with my friend Robert Tomashi to talk about the crucial reasons why we need industrial hemp at this time in our state. Robert, would you like to describe the differences, first of all, between industrial hemp and marijuana so we don't have any confusion?
Sure, Emily, that's an excellent question. And I never kind of used to know when I would hear in school, oh, the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. The kids in class would giggle, thinking hemp is the same as marijuana. And it's the same as marijuana the same way that a pit bull and a chihuahua are the same. Yeah, they might be the same. They are the same species, hemp and marijuana. They are the same species. Dogs are the same species. Humans are the same species. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, they are the same species. But you wouldn't look at a Chihuahua and you wouldn't look at a Pit Bull or a Great Dane and confuse them. You can tell. A little baby could tell the difference. So, okay, it has to do, if you know anything about farming and cultivating seeds. Humans have been cultivating seeds for tens of thousands of years, and that's how we get many different types of plants and products, and corn is different now than it was. Same thing with hemp. There are many strains of hemp which are cultivated for different products over the years. And then, in my understanding, and I could be incorrect, but the word marijuana probably wasn't really used until around 1937. I mean, hemp has been around for thousands of years. And marijuana, everybody knows, you smoke it and you're supposed to get high. You get this euphoric feeling. You know, marijuana, I guess it does have medical benefits. I know glaucoma, I've heard. It reduces the pressure in your eye, so marijuana is a treatment for glaucoma. I've heard marijuana, well, I don't know technically, but marijuana is the strain that you smoke, and hemp, if you smoke it, you're going to get a headache. You will not get high from hemp. I think it was in the 60s or 70s, scientists really figured out why. Why do you get that high feeling from marijuana and not from hemp?
Well, can I speak to that?
Yeah, please.
The difference that we're talking about, the specific difference that makes marijuana and industrial hemp not, is something called THC, or otherwise known as the tetrahydrocannabinoids. Now, the industrial hemp has such a negligible amount of tetrahydrocannabinoids, along with another chemical that actually gives the headache if you smoke it, so they call that sometimes the anti-tetrahydrocannabinoids, where the level of industrial hemp THC is at 0.03 or less. So the marijuana strains has anywhere from 8% THC on up to in the low 20s. And I like to equate in the dog metaphor, I like to equate the industrial hemp with the itinerant sled dog, because it's a utilitarian crop. Everything about it is beneficial to manufacturing and promotes hard, good work. Whereas marijuana is specifically, people use it for recreational use. There are also many cures that aren't coming through smoking it, and that we have been prohibited from using because of the prohibition on marijuana and hemp, which incidentally has come from a corporate plan to block the benefits of industrial hemp so that the petrochemical group could move forward without competition. Would you like to share what you have learned about what they're doing in England as far as building with hemp, Robert?
Sure. Well, over in England, as well as I think France and Spain and other places, they're building buildings with hemp. I guess you might call it hempcrete. And I'm not sure how well the viewers at home can see this right here, but this is a hempcrete block. Looks kind of like a concrete block, not quite as heavy. And so over in England, what they do is they grow hemp there, and The hemp grows up really tall and thin. The marijuana, as I understand, is very bushy, but the hemp grows up really tall and thin, and it's really good for the fibers. So I think they strip off the fibers, chop up the stalk, the stem, whether you call it the shiv or the hurd, depending which country you're in, the stalk part. They chop it up, mix lime in with it, and maybe a couple little other things, not much, mostly the stalk of the hemp plant and lime. And they mix that all up, and then it's kind of like poured concrete. You can pour it in or shovel it in. You have your wood forms here, so it helps the hempcrete keep its form. In about 15 minutes, you can remove those forms, and then it will continue to dry over time. So that's what they're doing in England. They're building buildings, whether it's homes, warehouses. I don't know the full extent of it, but that's what they're doing in England.
And may I jump in here to say that this is a half-size sample. This would be an internal wall that would be 6 inches wide, which would be acoustically thermal. Now, if we were doing an external wall, it would be about 12 inches wide. And this sample, by the way, has gotten around. It's been to Washington twice and been in a lot of the senators' offices. So what are the benefits? Why do we want to build with industrial hemp, and why am I so keen on us being able to grow it? Robert, if you're up on the factoids, I'll let you.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of reasons why we want to grow hemp here in Vermont and in America. So first of all, it's
just as far as building, about the fact that when you build this way, some of the benefits, like
okay, so some of the benefits are when you build with hempcrete, what it does is it sequesters carbon from the environment here into the hemp, which is very different because most building products are using various chemicals and this and that, a lot of petroleum-based stuff, which releases carbons into the air, creates the ozone effect, global warming, all those kind of things. So hemp does the opposite. So that's why it's considered a green product, or people would call it carbon negative. It takes that carbon out of the environment instead of dumping carbon into the environment. So carbon negative is actually a positive thing.
And how does it work if, let's say, an insect or rodent wants to get in there? What would happen?
I believe that the lime they're not going to go in. There's lime in there, so insects are not going to go in there.
And what about what's going to happen with your fire insurance?
Well, if the insurance companies are paying attention, what they'll see is that you can hold a torch onto here, and it's really not going to be a problem. Yeah, here's a sample when we've gone around demonstrating. We hold the torch right on there, and how many times have we done this? And look, you can see it's a little bit affected, but after so many times, it's not really affected. So the fire insurance really should go down because the stuff is not going to burn.
Yeah,
it's not like your standard insulation or just you hold a torch to it and it just won't burn.
Right. And what is the, do you know the R value? I can share it if you don't, but I thought.
Good question. I want to say that for a 12-inch thick hempcrete wall, interior wall, it would be R20 or R30?
R30. And can I speak for a moment about, it's interesting about this R value, because when you measure the R value, you're talking about the resistance of the air and so forth. But what's interesting about building with industrial hemp and what's different is that in this building method, we don't use a vapor barrier. And the reason we don't use the vapor barrier is because moisture will travel through to the outside, generally from the inside to the outside, because it's generally more, there's more humidity within. So in many of our buildings, we have that tieback or the vapor barrier, and even with the very green buildings that are trying to be airtight, the problem with that is that when the moisture hits the vapor barrier, it stays in the house. So if you have the mercury and fly ash, or if you have chemicals which are problematic now more and more in our sick building, they're going to stop at the vapor barrier. But this building method allows the moisture to wick through. And what's even more interesting to me is that even though it's measured at an R30 value, of what happens is it is actually more insulative than that even, and it has to do with how it holds the body heat, and what we see is that people who are building in England and Europe, and England is just taken off with this building method because it's so green. Sometimes they're not even putting but minimal energy, like stoves and stuff in the buildings, and conservatively, we are finding that they're saving 75% on their fuel costs. So that is, you can see already why it's absolutely critical that we begin growing it locally so we don't import it, building with it so we don't have the sick building syndrome. This won't get mold. We won't have the black mold. We won't have the sick building. It won't burn down. We won't have the rodents issues. So it's something that we're doing a lot of education so that it becomes household knowledge. And
if I could jump in just to kind of repeat what you had just said, I remember seeing this video when Emily went to, was it Spain or England for the, was it the Industrial Hemp Annual Symposium, and that one of the reasons that it's conservative on heat is, okay, here's the thing. If it's 80 degrees outside, that tells you the temperature, but it doesn't tell you the relative humidity. So if it's 80 degrees and it's dry, that's not so bad. That's why, like Phoenix, Arizona, even though it's really hot, not quite as bad as, say, Florida. Because if it's 80 degrees and it's dry, not so bad. But if it's 80 degrees and it's moist, it feels worse. So that's what you're saying in terms of its ability to wick moisture out of the air. You're going to be comfortable at a lower temperature because there's less moisture in the air.
And that was the second international building with hemp symposium, and now they've had the third. And of course, the U.S. is allowed to import the hemp, and the part that we use in the building is actually what they used to burn in the fields, what was in the interior of the stalk. It has an open cell structure, and so now we can import everything. We're the biggest importer of industrial hemp in the world.
America is.
America is. And which raises the question, is it a violation of NAFTA that we cannot export what we are importing, putting us at a trade disadvantage? And my concern is that this prohibition on industrial hemp is an act of malfeasance coming from a corporate political place that wants to restrict our ability to get off of oil. So my vision is that as a state, we need to stand up for our allegiance to the earth and our right to grow. And incidentally, for the record, I do not believe in prohibition whatsoever on any of the cannabis products, although I'm not smoking marijuana is not something that appeals to me, and I don't, but I certainly don't feel that spending our good money putting people in jail and breaking up families because somebody smokes is a wise use of our time and at all. So we have a lot more important work to do than to worry about somebody who's smoking. We need to repair the earth big time, and we need industrial hemp to do it. Would you like to share what this is here?
Yeah, and okay, so one of the things about hemp is it's a green product. So if you take a look at this, is this like insulation or is this bedding? Okay, so this can be a form of insulation, and when I think of insulation, I think of that Corning fiberware. I don't know if that's the right product or whatever it is, the Pink Panther, these different things. And you would never go like this with it, watch. But if you go like this, wow, there's something like really natural and wholesome. Put my face right in it.
Yeah,
you'd never do that with fiberglass, but this is a very natural product, so you can do that.
Yeah. This has an R4 per inch, and it's comparable to the pink stuff, only it's natural. There's a factory that's making it out in Wisconsin right now. Right now it's way expensive. Why? Because we're not growing it. When we start growing industrial hemp, the cost of building, the cost of making these products will go down and our manufacturing base will go up. This is why I am the hemp and Constitution candidate. Let's see, more things. More things.
Do you want me to jump in and say a couple things? Let me know if I'm on track or what. But you mentioned about the petroleum companies. Well, right now a lot of people are making a lot of money by importing petroleum. Mm-hmm. Well, as I understand historically, the reason why hemp was made illegal, most people who understand the subject realize it was because Mr. DuPont, he had investments in cotton and also petroleum, I believe. So this could be made out of cotton. It sure could. Matter of fact, 1% of the farm agricultural land in America, we grow cotton. So 1% of our land, agricultural land, we grow cotton. But within that 1% of land is consumed 25% of all of the chemicals, of, let me read it right here, make sure, of the pesticides. 25% of the pesticides used in American agricultural are for cotton. As I understand with hemp, you don't really need, I don't think you need any pesticides.
No,
right?
No, you don't need pesticides. A little fertilizer, it's got a root system, and it restores the soil. And the other very important benefit of industrial hemp, as many people know, you can get hemp clothes, and you can get hemp and bamboo clothes, and it can be as soft and strong, but it doesn't use the kind of water. The water use with making cotton is phenomenal. It is a huge waste of water. So every time you see racks and racks of T-shirts, it will be appalling to know, and I hope somebody looks it up. I need to memorize it, but I was appalled at the amount of gallons per T-shirt. Now, when we go into the processing plant to see how hemp is processed, it's a dry process, and every part of the plant is used. The dust is pelletized and then burned. The fiber is baled for not only this, but for things like these are all different types of materials to make things with. Soft ones, tough ones for jeans, and some of these have some organic cotton, some of these have bamboo, some of these are all hemp. But in other words, we need to really look at hemp for its purposes in clothes again, and embrace it wholeheartedly. Let's see, there's even more good stuff. What about people find this part very exciting. You mentioned about the fuel. Now, would you like to talk about how Henry Ford was working with hemp and in what capacity?
I don't know a lot about Henry Ford per se, but I understand if you go on YouTube, you can look up Ford's hemp car, something like that. And I actually haven't done it yet, but that's what you guys should do, is go on YouTube and look up Hemp's Ford car. And what I do know, at least, is that BMW and Mercedes is making car door panels out of hemp. I know that much.
Shall I take it from there? Okay. Yeah. There's a Canadian company that's building an entire body of a car. It's called a Kestrel car with a K. It kind of looks like a little red Yaris. And what Ford did is he made actual cars, car bodies, with taking the fiber. And unfortunately, I don't have a little sample here, but it looks like one of your green scrubbies that you scrub your dishes with, only it's this color, and it's hemp fiber matted, and then they take that and they heat mold it around whatever shape, and they impregnate it with a resin to do so. Well, he did this, and he built, I've seen a number of 40,000 cars or so, and he also grew hemp, and it was his original vision that we would be fueling our automotive industry from the oils that derived from hemp and flax.
And if I could jump in, what I understand about oils, when people think oil, they think petroleum products. As I understand, pretty much anything you can make from oil, which includes all types of plastics, you can make it from hemp also. And you don't have to invade other countries to get the oil. And and then you don't have the burning of the oil giving
Right.
off
Right.
toxic gases and
Right, and that's why I feel confident that we can actually make and fulfill a pledge to off oil in 5. We could be growing our hemp in the medians. We could be making the oil that we need. There is, in fact, a farm in the Bennington area that's making all the oil for its tractors and cars from sweet sorghum.
Oh, okay.
But sweet sorghum, of course, doesn't provide all these other types of products. And I know we haven't even begun to touch upon the kinds of foods.
Well, I've seen, like, in the supermarket, you can now buy the hemp granola. That's pretty obvious. And the seed, I understand, has tons of, like, protein and beneficial, I don't know if it's fatty acids or something. I could look right in this book here to find it exactly where it talks about that. But yeah, hemp seed as a food product also.
It has the highest omega-6s and omega-3s and the highest vegetable protein. And remember, all this that's grown without pesticides. So another benefit that isn't often talked about is the fact that when you grow the hemp and you grow it, it has about, you'd have about 200 to 300 plants per square yard. So think of kind of like a bamboo plant, and it's grown slightly different for fiber or for seed. But in any case, what that does is it blocks out weeds. So the next cycle, there's fewer weeds, and the farmer needs less pesticide. So this is an excellent crop to help us make the transition to organic, and also it's an excellent crop to grow along the rivers to filter, filter toxins that are coming off the fields before it goes to the river. So we're at a time where we really can't deny ourselves the use of this beneficial crop. And I know I've talked to many, many people who are prepared to move forward with this because of our allegiance to the earth.
And if I could jump in right there, from reading this book, and there's many books you could read, there really is no federal law that prohibits growing industrial hemp. It's not illegal to grow industrial hemp, according to the laws. And yet, how is it that if Vermont farmers did grow ahead and grow hemp, why is it that they want to, but they're scared? I mean, it's not illegal. What's going on? What's going on with that?
It's a very dark story of how hemp became illegal and full of corporate wickedness, essentially. So what they did is they began prohibition on marijuana, and they began to say that industrial hemp was marijuana. And what served them by creating prohibition on marijuana and making it illegal...
I'm going to interrupt you. I don't want to be rude. You say they didn't... Congress was very clear of the difference between hemp and marijuana when they were passing these laws. So Congress was clear about the difference at the beginning in 1937.
Well, what they did is they taxed it. They made the Marijuana Tax Act, so it became so expensive because you have to grow a lot of industrial hemp. I mean, for marijuana, you can grow one plant and have a crop, but with industrial hemp, you need to grow fields and fields of it. So when they did a tax on it, it became economically prohibitive to grow. And then they also released a huge ad campaign.
When you say they, this is what I want to get at. You say they. Hold on, let me say this.
Okay.
Hemp, America was founded with hemp products. George Washington required American farmers to grow hemp. George Washington said make the most of the hemp product. So
well, just
what happened?
Just like now, where we're seeing sort of a collusion between Halliburton and Cheney and Bush and.
So when you say they, you're talking about commercial corporate interests, the petroleum company and the cotton
even
industries.
in the 30s, they were colluding with politicians. So they got politicians into office to create laws that gave them a monopoly by removing the competition of industrial hemp.
That's why I just wanted to be clear, so people who are watching, when you say they, from what I'm reading, the Congress and the lawmakers early on, they knew the importance of hemp. They knew that.
Right
and
now,
when bills were introduced into Congress, they would say, well, what about this, what about that? And they say, no, 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 we're only talking about marijuana. We're only going to prohibit marijuana. Hemp is fine. We need hemp for rope. We need hemp for fiber, for canvas, for this, for that. There's so many things. So keep hemp, but only make marijuana illegal. That was originally. And then, but it got perverted. What?
Well, many things with men in power do get perverted, but they brought hemp back for the war and grew it. And once again, World War II.
Hemp for victory.
Well, where we're at right now is that we have Senator Wyden who's pushing forward. We have Ron Paul. We have finally gotten Bernie Sanders to lukewarmly support it. We haven't had it come up as a bill in the Senate. We have Senator Leahy, who says that he understands it's an important agricultural crop. He's on the Judiciary Committee. What we need to do is to have American law enforcement differentiate, like all these other countries, that hemp is different from marijuana and it does not belong as a drug.
So are you telling me and our viewing audience that marijuana is illegal in many countries, but they still grow hemp in the same country? So you're going to have many countries where marijuana is illegal, but hemp is legal.
Right, absolutely. And here we are, the biggest importers of something that has no capacity to create any psychoactive effect, and we're not allowed to export that? That is a violation of the very tenets of NAFTA. So I'm urging our readers to urge Senator Leahy to have it removed, because he sits on the Judiciary Committee, which is exactly where the movement has to happen. Or Obama needs to make one of the better signing statements and saying we are allowed to grow. And we're almost out of time here, Robert. So thank you. And thank you, everybody at home, for joining us. And stay tuned and look for us on the campaign trail. Once again, I'm the independent candidate for governor, and I'm the Hemp and Constitution candidate. You can find more information at emilypeyton.org, and I look forward to doing this work.